Kia ora, good evening, welcome wherever you're joining us from tonight, or if you're watching this recording at a later time, good morning, afternoon, or good evening. Regardless, I hope that we find you and your family happy, healthy, and well. Thanks for joining us for the second of 4 live video panel discussions made possible by the Caulfield RSL and the New Zealand sub-branch of Victoria RSL. I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land that I'm joining you from tonight, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and I pay my respects to elders past and present, and I extend this respect to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people who might be joining us this evening. As we did the other night, I'd also like to take a minute to remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice in the service of their country. So if you can, I'll invite you to stand with me and I'll read the ode. They shall not grow old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Thank you. My name is John Capon. I am a psychologist. I'm also a recent joinee of the New Zealand sub-branch of the Victoria RSL, and also a welfare officer. I am your humble host for these live panel discussions with industry experts, and it's our hope that these discussions might help us all to stay connected while we can't be physically together, and also that we might all be equipped with the knowledge and I guess the links to support services we might need to be healthy and to stay well during these challenging times. Tonight we're joined by Cameron Griffiths, Caulfield RSL manager. Cameron is also a personal trainer. Joining Cameron and myself on the panel is Ben Gold. Ben is a physiotherapist and the owner of Home Physio Melbourne, Physio to Mums and HPT New York. Ben is also my accommodating and forbearing neighbour. They'll be sharing their experiences, tips and advice on how we can stay physically healthy even though we might be predominantly homebound and our traditional ways of staying active might be restricted or even prohibited. So gents, thanks very much for joining us.
Not a problem.
Thanks for having us.
As I did the other night, I do want to mention the different help services at the outset that are available to you if you're not in a great space or if you feel distressed or overwhelmed by anything that comes up tonight. Please know you don't have to go through it alone. Please talk to someone, be that at home or call a mate. And if there's no one else, please call one of the great helplines that are out there, like Open Arms, Lifeline, etc. I'm going to put these numbers in the chat function again now. Please know that you don't have to go through whatever it is that you're going through alone. Let me just see if I can get that up. Hopefully you can see those details now. On Tuesday night, we did have this chat function and the Q&A up and running. We're going to try and keep those again going tonight, and I'll do my best to do a better job of staying on top of these. I did get a bit of feedback that there were questions that either didn't get picked up or that were missed, so I apologise for that. I also think there were some really great tips and ideas shared, and for me that was probably one of the great things about the conversation was just seeing all the different people sharing their ideas and what they've come across whilst being in this state of social isolation. So if you have any tips or ideas that you want to share with everyone, please post these to the chat function at the bottom of the page, and ensure that you select all panelists and attendees. If you want to send the panel a question for them to answer either during the conversation or after, please use the Q&A function again at the bottom of the screen, and I will do my best to stay on top of those. That's enough from me. Cameron, Ben, welcome. Before we get into the questions, I'd like to invite you both to tell us a little bit more about yourselves. your business and one thing that you guys are doing to look after your family and your own physical well-being at the current time.
Ben, you can go first.
Okay, thank you very much. So thanks for inviting me on this webinar. I feel privileged to be here. And yeah, so I've been a physio for 16 years now. About 6 years ago, my wife and family moved back to Melbourne. We were living in the States. And when we came back here, started a home physiotherapy company called Home Physio Melbourne. And as the name suggests, we bring physio to you. So we have a bunch of physios around Melbourne that come to your home, office, apartment, park, wherever, to help you with whatever needs you have. What have we been doing to try and keep sane during this unprecedented time? With the kids, we've actually just started watching the Star Wars, I was going to say trilogy. What's trilogy times 3? The 9 episodes. I've tried to introduce the kids, both 7 and 5, to those. Been trying to get out, walk to the park a bit, pot around in the garden and try and carry on as much with as much normalcy as possible, which at times is challenging.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Ben.
No
I might have to reacquaint myself with Star Wars. I think Cameron, over to you.
All right. I'm Cameron. I'm the General Manager of Caulfield RSL. I've been there for 2 years. I've been in the RSL network for now 5 years. Previously, I was operations manager at Long Beach RSL. So I sort of came on board 2 years ago, and since then we've sort of seen some huge changes, especially from a renovation point of view to the club and just structurally, and sort of rebuilding the whole business from the bottom up. And at the moment, how the business is we've got it in hibernation. So we're sort of sitting in a hibernation mode, doing lots of stuff behind the scenes. I also have a business on the side called All Aspect Training, and I'm a personal trainer. I specialise in golf fitness, TRX, which is like a hanging apparatus, and elderly fitness. So I do that. Used to do it a lot more than I do now. Unfortunately, my time restrictions are quite hard. I've only got about 10 clients that I do on a regular basis. I have a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old, which sort of keep up my time when I'm not at work, and I'm on quite a large property down on the Mornington Peninsula, so there's a lot of maintenance stuff to that. How am I keeping my family sane? My partner and I have a very vigorous training schedule, so she trains from 5:30 in the morning till 7. And if I don't train before work, when I get home from work after I've got the kids in bed, I'll go into my shed, and I have a full boxing studio, and I'll train in my shed. I've been trying to get the kids involved a lot more. So we've got a pony club about a 10-minute walk from my house. I've actually got them, and we're doing some sort of setting up little exercise routines down there. And then I actually got my 6-year-old daughter to run one for myself and my partner. And we got timed, and they were getting involved. Also, my kids love jumping on my back when I'm doing push-ups, and they love coming into my gym when I'm doing it. So, look, we live a pretty active lifestyle. My kids aren't television kids. They don't like sitting in front of the TV as much as I'd love them to at times. So if we're not in the gym, where I've got chickens, I've got rabbits, I've got dogs, they're outside playing with everything else. So I find that the sunnier days are a lot more sane for me. Because we find that we struggle to keep them entertained when we're inside because they just won't sit still. So yeah, that's sort of look, all I'm doing is trying to keep a routine and just trying to keep the family happy and trying to keep myself sane too by training and getting the kids active.
Yeah, great. Well, sounds like you live a blessed life down there on the peninsula.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, Ben, I think we need to move. Cameron, physical wellbeing, right? It kind of sounds like it's a really important part of you and your family's I guess, your life and your lifestyle. Can you tell us a little bit more about why it's so imperative for everyone else, I guess, to get on this fitness bandwagon and to stay active, even though things like their gym, their pool, their sauna, their yoga studio, pony club might be shut and team sports are out, right? Like, and we might not be blessed with the 2,500 kind of square
meter block, yeah.
Yeah, like you are. So, well, why is it so important for people to stay active?
Look, for me, when you train, you build endorphins and you get a good feeling about yourself. I find the benefit of it is that the more movement you do, the more endorphins you build and the better you feel. It also gives you the ability to control bad habits. So if you're out training and getting exercising, getting fresh air in, it's going to limit you sitting on the couch going, oh, I might have an extra chocolate bar, or I might have a glass of wine at 2 o'clock. Having a drink or having something sweet's great, but if you can sort of keep yourself physically active, it will help you to build those, I suppose, the criteria and the attributes to sort of control those urges. Getting outside helps to keep you sane. I find if you're feeling enclosed in a circumstance, the whole situation of the COVID-19 pandemic will sort of come down on top of you. You'll be more inclined to watch the news constantly and sort of see this scenario building up behind you and not realize what's sort of happening straight outside. But it's just, you don't want to get to the end of this and feel like you haven't moved, because we have more time than we ever potentially have had in our lifetime. So why can't we utilize it and actually build the foundations to continue on a fitness journey or a healthy journey after this? So I'm trying to incorporate that into a lot of the stuff I'm talking to a lot of my clients about, is do the hard work now, and then after this, when you don't have the time, you can nearly specialize your training so it's only 20 minutes, not an hour.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the things you said early on were those happy hormones, the endorphins.
The endorphins, yeah.
And the fact that when we exercise, we get that flood of endorphins, and that it's what kind of keeps us up. It is great for physical health, but also for mental health.
Yep.
That's why kind of exercise is one of the primary treatment kind of modalities for depression, anxiety, and things like that. So, I couldn't endorse that more. Ben, anything more that you'd sort of add, or that kind
of? No, it's like hearing from two professional professors over here. It's amazing. You guys hit the nail on the head as far as I'm concerned. You know, as you said, the exercise brings out the happy chemicals, the serotonins, the dopamines. We know that those are incredibly good for not only managing anyone who suffers from anxiety and depression, but also they directly work against cortisol. Cortisol being a stress hormone that increases inflammation in the body, and those actively help in reducing cortisol in the body, which less inflammation makes you feel better. So there are numerous articles talking about the benefits of exercise for brain and body. So I think you've hit it on the head.
Yeah, good man. No, thanks, Ben. Ben, you and your team, as you sort of said, you work with people in their homes. So what sort of challenges then are your clients facing in terms of their or kind of staying mobile and active as a result of COVID-19 and being kind of restricted to barracks?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and the answer is multifactorial. Lots of challenges. It depends on the type of patient we're dealing with. So we deal with, we see some veterans, we see some private patients, we see a lot of patients on the NDIS, the National Disability Insurance Scheme. And for us, the initial challenge was that, I don't know if anyone else noticed this, but it was really 2 weeks of just intense anxiety where everything was shutting down. And everyone was just like, no, I'm not doing anything. I'm just shutting my doors. I'm loading up on barbecue biscuits and toilet paper. That's all I'm doing. And so that we initially had a very large reduction in the number of visits we usually do. I think just because of that initial anxiety. And so that is still occurring. So part of our role is to try and help people understand that there are options. Some of those options do include face-to-face appointments. And for a lot of patients with chronic conditions that need physio as a weekly or bi-weekly service to keep them active and prevent significant decline, we've had to employ a lot of personal protective equipment practices. So we've got practices in which we, for example, take shoes off before we get in. We use infrared thermometers to test our patient's temperature and ours, and then show them ours. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that's only useful if there are active symptoms. If you're a carrier, that is not useful. We then go and wash our hands, encourage the patient to watch us wash our hands, put on gloves. We have hospital-grade sanitizer with ethanol and hydrogen peroxide. We sanitize everything in front of people, equipment after. We also wear masks and gloves. So a lot of people may question whether a lot of this is necessary, but we view that if we can do as much as we can, and I should let you know that the masks we are purchasing are not being purchased and then limiting the hospital use of these types of masks. These are different types of masks that a lot of the hospital people are using. So there's that. If we're doing a face-to-face appointment, we are employing those methods. But now we've started relying a lot on telehealth. Telehealth, for those who don't know, I mean, what we're doing now is telehealth. It is speaking to a patient in their home or wherever they are, and we can also be wherever we want to be, and either talking them through an acute episode of back pain, neck pain, or actually doing physical exercise with them. There's some pretty cool programs out there that allow us to place the exercise in the viewer's screen, be it an iPad or laptop or desktop. The exercise is done with the patient, and we are facing the background, giving them cues, do more of this, less of this. So that there are, it's allowed us to really innovate quite quickly. But at the same time, there are daily challenges with constant policies and procedures and government changes in terms of what should be done, what needs to be done, but also internal stuff for us. We need to protect our physios, and we also obviously need to protect protect the public. So it's been a constant, very high workload to stay on top of what needs to be done.
Mm. Yeah, thanks, Ben. I'm just kind of looking at one of Colin's comments, and what he's sort of saying is that this is such great info and reassurance to know just how thorough you're being to make sure that kind of you can provide the service and the reassurance that both your patients and your staff are safe. I think that's it's really reassuring.
Yeah, it is, and I think physio is regarded, a lot of allied health is regarded as an essential service. Whether you feel, physios obviously work in many different realms: private practice, hospitals, homes, and for us it was an easy yes, because we know that people need us for number one reason, physically, but number two, the loneliness and isolation factor is huge. That's not our primary reason for being there. We would not go to unfortunately, we could not go to a participant for that primary reason, but as a secondary effect, we've had incredible feedback from patients saying, thank you for coming, because if you didn't, no one would, and we would not be seeing anyone. So we have that secondary add-on.
Oh, I mean, I think it's fantastic that you found ways to pivot and innovate and still be able to provide, I guess, a safe service that it really sounds like your clients need. So guys, let's, I guess, think now about Australia's national exercise guidelines, right? I'm pretty sure everybody sees it. We get it quite often that we need to do, what is it? I think it's 150 to 300 minutes or something like that of moderate intensity physical activity a week. But but a lot of our traditional avenues for doing that are out, right? Like gyms are shut, yoga studios are shut, golf courses are shut, pools are shut, right? Like, so what do you suggest that people focus on, and like how do they kind of keep ticking those boxes?
I think we've got to look at, we're only limited by our own imagination. Exercise doesn't have to necessarily happen in a gym, in a sports studio. I think the gyms and that we are missing more the social aspect of the team sports and the gyms and the social interaction. I think that's probably one of the hardest things. You can stay very fit and healthy and never leave your home or your backyard because of various exercises that you could do that are all relying on body weight. I did a half an hour workout the other day using a 20-kilo bag of chicken food. So I did a full workout with that, and I just wanted to see something different. And my daughter sat there and watched me, and she was absolutely fascinated, going, "Why are you using that?" And it was like, because I want to build this into my repertoire to show people that you don't need weights. You can use anything you want. As long as you're doing the movement correctly, you're still going to be building all those natural hormones. I'm still working on my bone density because I'm adding weight to it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still building my testosterone. I'm still working on all my other calcium levels. I'm out in the sun, so I'm building up my vitamin D. So that's helping with my anxiety. So I sort of did something outside and didn't even need one bit of equipment. A lot of programs these days, and I was online today and I found over 100 apps potentially that you could link on, and they're all home-based apps which will show you how to do a squat, which will show you how to do something else. I think, this is going to open up people's eyes that you don't need a gym to stay fit. We just got to open our eyes and look around the house and go, oh, there's a step there. I can do step-ups on that. Push-ups, sit-ups, whatever you want to do. You've got a tree there. Do a chin-up on it. Just make sure the tree is strong enough. I have had one fall, which was quite entertaining, but, lucky enough that I fell on my feet. So, but that's sort of the way I'm sort of trying to drill into my clients at the moment, is that just because I can't come to you and train with you and you've got no weights doesn't mean I still can't smash you in a 30-minute session. And I've been doing a lot of sessions by FaceTime. And what I'm finding is people are loving that interaction because they actually feel like I'm there. And it's just me standing on the other side and I'm doing the exercise with them. But then they're actually they get a lot out of it because then they have that social interaction as well. And that's sort of what I'm sort of trying to build a lot of my business around.
Yeah. So I guess key thing for me that I took from that was we need to get creative.
Yes.
We need to find ways to, I guess, to stay active. And there's lots of great tools and resources out there for inspiration, right? Like be it YouTube, be it apps and things like that. My daughters were doing Cosmic Kids yoga. There's, is that Joe Wicks in the UK that's got kind of the daily PT kind of session. Well,
Chris Hemsworth's he's got an app out at the moment and he's doing a free 6-week program.
What is that? I saw that.
Yeah, and I'm actually using it at the moment because I'm just trying to keep myself mentally sane that I don't actually have to think about anything. So when I get on there and I do it, and his programs are really good. And they push you, and you've got your limits. You've got really beginner, then you've got beginner, intermediate, then advanced, and then extreme, like an athlete. So you can push yourselves to your limit. And that's a free program. And there's another one called Daily Burn, a 4-week trial you can do. So there's lots of, these are probably going to save our lives in this because you can still stay connected and not feel like you've got to do all the thinking. But they'll tell you what to do, and then you can still feel like you're in that gym mentality and that gym scenario.
Yeah. Just before I kind of throw to no, actually, let me throw to Ben. Ben, yeah, same question to you. Like, what are your thoughts around?
Well,
exercise guidelines?
I think what Cam said was spot on. I mean, I'm assuming you have the chicken feed with you because, yeah, as you said, you got chickens. So that's functional, right? So
yes.
That is brilliant because by using that, how much easier is it going to be to carry that feed to feed the chickens however many times per day you need to do it? So you hit the nail on the head in terms of use something functional. If you've got stairs, use them. Go up and down a few extra times. If you've got the kettle, you could do some bicep curls with the kettle. you know, see what's around and have a look at what activities you are doing on a daily basis. It could be as easy as going from sit to stand. Okay. If you have any trouble getting up from a chair, you may want to, you know, hold the position first in an isometric, first in a, you know, a held position just to build up some isometric strength. And then you may want to, you know, hold a couple bags of rice and do sit to stands that way to build up your sit to stand strength. So I think, you know, you're only limited by your imagination. There's a lot of ways in which you can improve not only your health, but improve your daily function now, and that can carry on for the rest of your life.
Yeah, right. So functional movements come up a couple of times there in terms of how do we, and correct me if I'm wrong, functional movement being making sure that we have the strength and the fitness and the capability to conduct the things that we need to do in daily life.
Correct. If you get a package that's 6 kilograms outside your door, can you effectively pick that up, walk to the table, put it on the table without being breathless or your arms falling off? Another functional movement that you could practice with a small suitcase or a box, or so yeah, again, it's anything that you would do probably on a next to daily basis that could make your life easier or make that action easier.
Okay, no, that's great. That's another good takeout for me. Cameron, coming back to you, one of the things that you talked about earlier was your specialization in golf fitness.
Yep.
If we think about for argument's sake, a member who is a golfer, right? Like that is their day-to-day, how they stay fit and active, and I guess their social interaction, right? Like golf clubs are closed right now. What advice would you be giving that golfer to stay in the shape that they need to be so that when we find ourselves back in a situation where golf clubs open up and we can be back playing golf with our mates, that they're in the shape to do that and not risk injury?
Yeah, definitely. Look, with golf fitness, you would not believe how much flexibility you need.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the key factors I think people should take away is you need to maintain flexibility through your hamstrings, through your calves, through your Achilles, and then you've got to look at your leverage points. So when I train someone for golf fitness, I've got different leverage points. So up here, down to my hips, then my ankles, and then the movement through my arms. So what I would sort of be saying to people out there is keep on the walking, maintain that walking, because walking will keep everything moving and keep everything sort of staying flexible. Doing just some basic movements and stretches in the morning, just pulling through there so you're rotating through your actual inner core and rotating right through, thinking about the movement in a golf swing. How can I incorporate that into some functional movement? So instead of you being I'll try and do something. I'll just say I'm in a caravan. So instead of you being in that position, okay, well, if I'm in that position, how can I incorporate my training in this position? So if I hold out a bag full of water and put a hole in it and just hold it there, that's still going to be incorporating my core, which is then going to be the main driver through here and my hips and then through my legs. So it's sort of, once again, it goes back to a golfer generally knows what hurts when they play. So what they want to do is keep everything moving. Looking at yoga, Pilates, even working on their own flexibility. So when they come out of it, they're going to be a more nimble golfer, because it's not about the size for golf. It's actually about your momentum and how you can connect each leverage point before you hit the ball.
So I guess flexibility, again, that stuff around functional movement, it sounds like it's coming
fitness up. And just maintaining your fitness is the key factor. Don't stop moving because you feel you can't play golf. Now, when you walk a golf course, you can walk up to 8Ks. Think about that and go, if I stop playing golf, that's 8Ks less I'm walking that day. How can I, now I've got a bit more time, should I go for a 4K walk 4 times a week? Can I do that? Can I incorporate that into my daily movement? And then they're going to become a better golfer, because what you find is someone at the 18th hole after they've walked 8Ks starts to tire, and that's when you find their position starts to curl over and their swing starts to get a bit sloppy, and that's where injuries happen, because they actually start trying to drive more through their upper body instead of using their hips to engage in their core.
Yeah, good tips. Thanks so much. I was just going through this point of reflection in my mind going, yeah, I can remember the first time I ever played golf thinking this would be a cinch, and I think I was through 9 holes and I was exhausted.
Yeah.
Thanks for realizing that. Ben, more and more people are working from home than ever before. And I guess setups are suboptimal, right? Like you're in your home office, Cameron's in his caravan, I'm sat at a desk in my bedroom with my laptop on a shoebox. Or people are working from the kitchen bench or on the couch, whatever it might be. What advice, strategies, tips do you have for people working from home to make sure that they're doing that safely and avoiding, I guess, injury?
Yeah, no, very good question. So we've got 2 young kids that are starting homeschooling again for 8 or 9 weeks, I forget, on Monday. And so we've got one that's going to be here and one will be at a trestle trestle table we bought for $20. That's pretty sturdy in one of the rooms. I've also since set up another trestle upstairs because both myself and my wife work full-time, and we've got our kitchen table. So what I'd suggest is if you do have, best is a study, obviously, and a desk. Next best would be some type of table, being a trestle. Next best might be a kitchen island with a stool, but we want hard fixed surfaces to work off. Next, both options of bed and couches are generally pretty bad. The issue with couches are, without fail, 90%, well, I think firstly, 88% of statistics are made up on the spot anyway, but 90% of couches are too deep and too soft. So that joke was just, I'll just continue. So if a couch is too soft, then you're going to go into this position where you're at the back of the couch and it's too deep. You're in this position, you're working like this. Terrible for neck pain, back pain, mid-back pain. So we really want a very hard and stable surface. Any regular kitchen or dining room, if you have a dining room, or just basic chair is better than a bed or a couch. There are some companies offering these standing desk solutions as well, which you can purchase online. That would be desks that you can put on top of your desk if you feel like standing is better. But also the best advice is just to keep moving. There's an old saying that I didn't make up, but is especially true now, is that the best posture is the next posture. So what that obviously means is keep moving. Every 20 minutes, no matter where you are, get up, move around, go for a walk, get a glass of water, annoy your wife, as I do most of the time, play with the kids, empty the dishwasher, whatever it is. The idea is that we are active beings. That's how our joints get nutrition, hydration, get rid of toxins, get blood supply. And so movement is essential to prevent things from stiffening up. And so if you do need to work, you need to get up frequently and move around.
Great advice. Okay, so any kind of hard surface for working on rather than couches, beds, and making sure that you're getting up and moving frequently throughout the day. Thanks so much, Ben. Cameron, I guess, as you know, like a large number of our members are obviously more mature. And the advice from the authorities is for them to stay home and sort of stay away from others, avoid going out. Is there anything else that you'd sort of add to what you've already said around how they can stay active whilst being told to stay at home and avoid contact?
Look, everyone's situation is different, John, and some elderly couples have a backyard, so this is a great opportunity to get out and do your gardens. Now, I know, being in the garden is movement, and all I'm trying to push to everyone is about maintaining that movement. Now, if you don't have that luxury, walk around your dining room table, or like what Ben sort of said, some people struggle to do a basic squat, so do a squat into a chair that doesn't put any pressure on your joints, and then you might have an arm which you can sort of push back up. If someone has a walker, they can sort of use that just to get the movement and just walk around their house. It might seem mundane, but the most important factor is you want to keep moving through these times. And when you do it, open up your windows if it's a nice day, so you get that fresh air breeze feel come through the house, and you actually feel like you're not in this claustrophobic area. So there's
you know what, Cam? Put on some music as well for the inside.
That's exactly right.
Dance.
Yeah, music. I don't train without music because I need music to sort of zone out all. Otherwise, I'm sort of thinking about what's happening at the club or what my kids are doing or this. I need music to zone me out so I can get into my sort of training regime. And definitely have music, because music will actually stimulate the mind and the brain and get it a bit active, and you'll start moving. And all we want to see is people moving. It doesn't matter if you're 60, 70, 80, 90, 30. A 30-year-old who doesn't train might not be in the same condition as an 80-year-old who does train. I train with a guy who's 89 at a gym, and he's one of the fittest guys I've met. His wife is a huge trainer too. She had a massive stroke, I think, recently. Because of her fitness, she's come out at the other side flying colours. So I think use this time, because we have extra time. We're never going to get this time again. We're in a unique industry where we're not driving on the road, spending 3-4 hours a day driving. So we have extra time. So use it to get moving. And I think that's the key factor. Is doesn't matter if you've got a 1-bedroom apartment, you can still run on the spot. You can do squats on a spot. You can do push-ups on a spot. You can do step-ups on a dining room chair. Just make sure you don't hit your roof, head on the roof. You can utilize your furniture, clean out a cupboard. Moving everything out of a cupboard is movement. Give it all a clean, put it all back in. You're not realizing you're engaging your biceps, your forearms, your shoulders, everything with this movement. Same as digging a hole or mowing the lawns. Just think about what you're doing and going, all right, how can I do it with a little bit more movement? And I think we'll come out of it a better, a healthier, and a more vibrant society. That's sort of the way I'm looking at it. Yeah,
good man. Ben, anything to add to that?
I think that was perfect. I think, great advice. I've never seen more couples probably in the 50 and above age group walking together in my life. I've never seen, around where we are, all I see is walkers and runners. If you can run, great. But if you can't, walkers are everywhere. It's like it's fantastic. So, if you've got, as Dave has written in the chat, we are blessed to have many parks around us in Melbourne. So utilize them. Walking is one of the best and obviously most functional exercises that everyone needs to perform on a daily basis.
And I love Dave's point around you can still be physically distanced from others, but still have that social contact. So that's multitask, right? Like, kind of, that's one of the, look, I'm probably one of the more introverted guys out there, but I'm still trying to connect with anyone that I kind of see when I am out, which probably wouldn't be what I would do normally, but it's just an opportunity to connect with other people that I might not necessarily have the opportunity to speak to. So that's a really good call out. Thanks, Dave. Just, I'm sort of conscious of time. Anyone out there that's got a question? I don't really have any questions for our panelists, so please chuck them through. One of the things that kind of, it struck me sort of through the conversation is we've talked about great apps and things like that, but for people who are stuck at home or aren't so up to speed in terms of what should I be doing, specifically what should I be doing, what's safe, from a programming perspective. Are there any kind of great internet sites, social media kind of influencers or whoever, or apps that you think are worth calling out for, I guess, the audience to know, that might help inform them and give them inspiration for how they can keep active?
Go, Ben.
I've got one. I'm just looking it up. Just 1 second. Now, it's not going to be for everyone because it is fairly intense, but it may be for some. And it's the New York Times 7-minute workout.
Mm-hmm.
And you need like a chair. That's it. And maybe a table. And there are things like push-ups and dips and step-ups. And it's actually a lot. I'm just going to look it up as we're chatting. Please excuse my rudeness. But it is, I've had feedback from patients who have said, well, especially while they're traveling, it's short, it's sharp, it's got great functional exercises on it. 6-minute workout. Sorry, people will have to look it up. I can't seem to find it just yet, but it is called the New York Times something workout, and it goes for about 7 minutes.
Yeah, good man. Thanks so much, Ben.
Look, if someone's elderly and they don't know what they're doing, I bet their bottom dollar their kids would. We're growing up with the apps these days. I've just written a program for my 78-year-old mum because she was starting to feel she was falling into bad habits of having cookies and chocolate and an extra glass of wine overnight. So on the text message, I sent that through, and she sort of has got a little stepper at home, and she's been walking, and now I've incorporated a couple of things, using a dining room chair, using her lounge, which sort of sits a bit lower, so she has to sit down a bit lower to do a squat. I think we've just got to, people understand what their abilities are, but there's so many apps out there. Look, you've got Sam Wood 28, you've got Centra, which is the Chris Hemsworth. You've got Tiffany Hall, which has her own program. You've got HIIT Workouts, Fit 30, Daily Workout Fitness. What you want to do is, if you're online look at something that's based for home, because most of those will incorporate mainly body weight movements or furniture or stuff around the house. Don't look at the stuff that's sort of got heavy weights or really designed around the weights or the gyms, because then you'll have to go out and buy all the stuff. If you do, fantastic, then you're in advance and then you can go down that path. But look at the stuff that's sort of based around, look at the apps, type in for home-based programs, and things will come up, and then that'll start showing you what to do. And they do step-by-step things, how to do a push-up, whether it's on your knees. If you're a bit older, do it against a wall, so you're not putting any strain through your joints, and it's making it easier. Then go down to a chair, then go down to knees, then go into a full range push-up. Hopefully by the end of COVID-19, you'll be able to go from a wall push-up down to a floor push-up and do a full push-up. That's sort of set some goals. Have 6 fitness goals. Put them on your fridge and keep them. Have them there so you read them every morning. Okay, I'm going to do a walk today. I'm going to do 5 squats. I'm going to do 10 push-ups. I'm going to walk up my stairs twice. Set some goals that will help you keep on track of where you want to go, and make sure it's based into your routine. We are routine structured people. If you don't have it as a routine, then you won't do it. Don't say, oh, I'll do it later. You've got the energy, you've got the motivation, do it there and then. Otherwise, you'll just keep putting it off. One day it'll become 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. Before you know it, 6 weeks has passed and you haven't trained, and you've missed that time. Don't let this time go past us, because we won't get it back.
And Dave Anthony spoke a lot about habit forming the other night, and shared a great link from Kelly McConaughey around that exact thing. So I'd encourage anyone that missed Tuesday to have a look back at that recording. And 100% can't endorse more the importance of forming good habits as opposed to falling into bad habits during this time. Sort of conscious of time, gents, kind of top 2-3 tips that you want people to take away from the session tonight before we wrap it up.
Sure, I'll jump in. I reckon you can think of just two main kind of mantras that I try, and three. I'll give you three to help people. One, I've already said, the best posture is the next posture.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to remember because they're quite cliched. Number two is motion is lotion.
I like that
Motion,
one.
yep, motion provides lubrication to our joints. It's going to make our joints feel better. Anyone with a bit of a creaky old knee or even hip to a certain point, so if it's not bone on, you know, and you've missed out on a hip or knee replacement in the last week, I'm not going to suggest you move around all that much, but people who have a bit of arthritic change, motion is lotion. Get on, do a little bit of walking, it'll make you feel better. And the other thing which I'd say is no pain, no gain. But no is spelt differently. It's K-N-O-W. So knowing what pain is very powerful in understanding movement habits. A lot of people may, when they get up from a chair or start walking, they may have a bit of pain, but what that really is, and it's probably for a conversation much longer than and more detailed than we have now, is that pain is not damage inducing. Pain, it can be, but pain is just your body's alarm signal going off, telling you there's a little bit of danger. But often if we've had pain for too long, that danger system the alarm goes off too early. So if you have a little bit of pain when you first start walking, that is not damage. It is just your body saying, hey, what's that? Often if you keep going, that pain will, in a lot of cases, just go, we hope. And so knowing what pain is very powerful in adapting or allowing our mobility or movement to keep going.
Yeah, good man. Thanks so much, Ben. Cameron?
Well, probably three things I could offer is I saw a message from, I think it was Dave, come up about relaxation, and I was going to bring that up. As much as movement is a key, it's about knowing about meditation, relaxation, yoga, learning to breathe. You'd be quite surprised that we don't really realise how little breaths we take, and if you actually sit there and take some deep breaths, how much that can eliminate depression, anxiety, anger, impatience, all these little things. Just standing outside taking 5 deep breaths when everything's starting to become overwhelming can actually eliminate those feelings. Can also help with cravings. I have a big sweet tooth, I'm not going to lie. Sometimes if I'm really craving sugar, there'll be 2 reasons. I'm either dehydrated or I'm quite stressed. So if I go outside and take some deep breaths and just close my eyes for 5 minutes, I come back in, I actually don't really need that craving and I don't feel like it. Then I have some water and then that craving's gone. Little things like that. I haven't done any physical stuff, but I'm helping myself internally by breathing and relaxing. So the other thing is don't waste time. This is an opportunity we have. Colin just sent me a text message saying my weakness is snakes, and that is correct, lollies. And don't waste time. Let's not let this time pass, because who knows when it'll ever happen again, if ever. This is the first time in 100 years we've seen this happen. We have more time than we ever know what to do with. If we're working from home, you can definitely get up and do movement for your lunch break instead of having that chat with your best friend, what you'd normally do in the cafeteria or something like that. So use this time to get moving, to learn what your body wants and what it needs and what it doesn't want and what it doesn't need. And the final one I want to say is ask for help. If there's anyone out there who's listening tonight or knows someone who might need help, there are so many avenues you can ask for help. Caulfield RSL is one. If there's any of our veterans, our members, anyone that just needs to hear something, that needs some guidance on fitness and health, I'm always happy to help. If it's a welfare aspect, make the phone call to the club. I've got the club man to my diverted to my phone, so I answer that whenever it comes through. So I just want people to know that you're not weak because you're asking for help. You're actually got a lot more inner strength than most other people. So if you need help, ask.
Cameron, thanks so much for that. Just so that we're really clear, what's the main line for Caulfield RSL?
Oh, Jesus. I actually have to look that up.
I'll take
because of my yeah, I don't actually
9528 3600.
There we go. I don't ever call it 9528 3600.
Okay,
That's our line name on my phone.
Good man, thank you very much. I think that pretty much wraps things up for tonight. I don't have any questions come through. I apologise if you've posted through a question and it hasn't come up in the Q&A, but awesome to see so many different ideas and feedback coming through on the chat function. So thanks so much to you all. Ben, Cameron, I am indebted to you. Thanks so much for your time and your wisdom, your advice. Thank you. Thanks also to everyone for tuning in at home and joining in on the conversation. I hope you found it interesting and enlightening and that you took something from it. Me personally, just this whole idea that I need to use it or lose it, and I need to find time to do more physical activity. So thank you very much for giving me that kick. To everyone out there, I hope you can join us next Tuesday from 7 p.m. When we'll be joined by Father Tootie Hollis of the Christchurch St Kilda Parish and James Hall-Hepper-Smith, the President of the New Zealand sub-branch of the Victoria RSL. Together we'll be talking about spiritual well-being and how we can stay connected to what's important to us, be that faith, values, belief, whatever it might be. Until then, be calm, be kind, stay home. I think we've got this. Thanks so much, guys. Take care. Be safe.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.